Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Game Time Discussions. I'm Cameron Selby, sitting here with Emery Cuzzy, and we're going to go over the interior linemen. We're talking guards, centers, guys we know that are going to be kicked inside, and round out the offensive side of the ball with these prospect rankings. Please leave a like, subscribe if you hadn't already. Check out the other ones that we've released at this time, and we're just going to keep on trekking along in the middle of draft season.
Yeah, so we've actually done almost all the offensive positions up to this point. Offensive tackle will come out on Saturday, so that'll be the last one, and then we'll start on defense, of course. We actually will have a mock draft come out next week, though, first, before we do any more position rankings. So check all that stuff out. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us, of course. So let's get into it, huh?
Let's do
Let's,
it. So
all
yeah,
right.
we're going to start off with some honorable mentions as always. We got four names for you. So Jonah Monheim out of USC, Seth McLaughlin out of Ohio State, Jackson Slater out of Sacramento State, a fun name there, and Drew Kendall out of Boston College. Give us a little rundown of each of these guys.
Yeah, so three of the four were centers in college. The only one that wasn't was Jackson Slater, who was a guard. So Jonah Monheim starting out for USC. Let's just say he is the weirdest alignment versatility out of everybody in this whole class, probably. In 2022, he played right tackle for 716 snaps and then right guard 286. 2023, he played left tackle for 762 snaps.
Hmm.
And then 2024, he played center for 800 snaps. So, I mean, he's just got weird alignment versatility. I'd expect him to truly, he can't play tackle in the NFL, but I think that no problem playing any of the inside three positions to me. I thought he looked really good movement wise this year. I thought he did well at the Senior Bowl. I don't think he was amazing or anything, but like watching him, I don't think he was talked about as much as I thought he could have been. I thought he was really solid there, and a lot of his stuff comes with like just athleticism. The ability to play right tackle, left tackle, and center tells you about kind of how athletic he is, and he's a very capable pass blocker, fluid, punches really nice, capable climbing and getting out on screens. I thought that looked really good. Some of his cons, though, he's kind of a smaller guy, needs some mass, and then he has some run game deficiencies coming with that mass, play strength. He'll lose to pressure if he's really in a battle. The bigger guy will win, and it's normally on the defensive side of the ball. He'll lose to that pressure, and then he has a harder time when he's covered versus when he's uncovered. And what that means is literally if there is a defensive lineman in his face in front of him, he has a harder time than when there isn't one. So in a three down, he'll normally get a nose guard in his face, especially at the center position. So that's something that I noticed. And I think he's just not normally physically better. So those are the issues, but I think he's a really fluid athlete. So I think that he does some good things also. Now, the next guy, Seth McLaughlin, is one of my favorites in the class, and it's just because he reminds me of my old teammates. So I'm going to give one of my buddies a shout out. So, Gray, you absolutely remind me of Seth McLaughlin. Same running style, all the things. It's hilarious to me. But um, overall, he was really solid this year. He had some, I mean, he was out for a lot of the year due to injury, but he had 0 sacks given up and only 7 hits and hurries. So thought that was solid. He's a savvy player, high IQ. He's a little bit older, so that kind of comes with it, but really compact. Like not like you look at him and you're like, wow, like he's got the belly and he's really tight, body size, not necessarily kind of sawed off, but like he's still strong and can move really, and he moves pretty well. High motor and effort is his kind of calling card. He's got good pad level, plays with good leverage, and then also quickness. So I actually really like Seth McLaughlin, and of course it has a little bit to do with the fact that he reminds me of my buddy. And then some cons though, he has the injury history. This isn't his first time. Sometimes he lunges and misses. He's probably more scheme dependent than some of the other guys, so I think he really fits in a gap scheme style. Consistent hand placement is an issue at times, and then I think the lunging and the missing comes with his over aggression because he's very aggressive in the run game. Next up, Jackson Slater for Sacramento State. One of the biggest risers to me personally. I don't know. I think he's
Hmm.
starting to rise to other people, but like to me, I'm like, wow, this guy is legit. First team All FCS, All American, AP All American, and he had a 8% passer pressure rate this year, which is awesome. Three total pressures, hits and hurries. So he's just got high pass game prowess, man. He's just really good in the pass game. Great anchor, stonewalls players with foot movement, aggressive with hands. I mean, it was so funny watching him stonewall Deion Walker, who is a massive human being, at the
Right.
Senior Bowl. Extremely high technique efficiency. I think he's just a very like well coached, smart player. Got good power, good athleticism. He's actually a three-time All-American. Not a
Hmm.
one-time, three-time All-American. Translatable style, even coming from the FCS. I think he fits inside zone the most, but at the same time, I think he can actually excel at anything. So he that makes me excited about him. But I think his biggest issue is second level blocking, getting up to the second level, and then also consistency with his hand placement. So that could be somewhat of an issue. Maybe he could put a few pounds on his frame, but otherwise, I think he's really. I didn't know how to not. I wanted to put Jackson Slater on the top of this group, but I think he's a tier below the next group. So he was actually, if you had to rank these guys, he's the next guy to me
Hmm.
personally. Drew Kindle, center out of Boston College. He's a fluid mover, good athleticism. He's more of an outside zone style player. He can pull somewhat, and then second level ability is really solid. He's a good pass blocker, capable of moving in front, understands leverage, can beat speed, tough guy, high motor. He's one of Mel Kiper's favorite guys. That is like a lower name that most people don't know about, but he's a little higher on Mel Kiper's board. Cons though, I think he really lacks power and strength overall. I think he's a smaller guy. He doesn't have that girth, the girth that you want to see. He kind of reminds me of the Jason Kelsey build,
Hmm.
but I don't think he has that same like athleticism that maybe Jason had, and I don't think he's got that like mean streak that he had, if that makes sense. But those are the four honorable mentions. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a fun list of names. Three of the four didn't allow a sack this year. One of them being Drew Kindle. One sack. What are you gonna do? But even with Drew Kindle, like you said, lacks the size to just be a mauler. But at the end of the day, like a lot of how they use him is in space. So I know that one of the reports that I read was he was just excellent in the screen game, getting downfield and all that good stuff. So a lot of fun versatility for a lot of these guys, and late round picks that could just really become full time starters in the short term.
Jackson Slater may be one of my favorite picks when it comes down to like actual draft day,
Hmm.
because if he goes in like the fifth, sixth, seventh round, I'm gonna enjoy that pick a lot because I think that's great value at the end of the day. Because
Hmm.
he's just a good player. He's a good football player, man, and that gets me excited. But the next group, we're going to go on to the tier six guys. Only two on this board. Jared Wilson from Georgia. He replaced Cedric Van Pran from last year. We actually had Cedric Van Pran as one of our ranked players last year. He's a shorter guy, 6'3", 310. I don't have ages. We talked about this. We'll talk about this a little bit on the offensive tackle video on Saturday, but also the offensive line, for some reason, they just don't put ages. They don't put their date of birth, and I can't get their ages. So it's just senior. That's what we got. And there's a couple other guys that are like that. It's just I don't know why. I don't know why they do that, but they just will not put their date of birth out there. Um, it is what it is. But just talking about Cedric Van Pran, he played like I said. He replaced. I'm sorry. He replaced Jared Wilson. Replaced Cedric Van Pran. My fault. My apologies. And played on a really solid Georgia offensive line with guys that I think at the end of the day there were a few guys on that offensive line that were talked about preseason as some of the best players in the actual nation, and so he had some good bookends across the whole offensive line for him, and two of his teammates in the interior offensive line are both in this draft class. So just talking about him, 1.2% quarterback pressure rate. His RAS score, he was one of the most athletic interior offensive lineman at the draft. I mean, at the combine, very solid. Ability to move uncovered, beautiful. Able to get leverage covered, also really great. So I think both of those things are good. He's very scheme versatile. He's quick with his stunt and blitz recognition, and for being a young player as a starter, I thought that was really solid. Uh, Violent hands, double team mauler, displacement, stuns and pass rush. And I think his upside and projection makes me like him even more. I think he'll be top 100 for us. I think he's top 100 for almost everybody, but I think his upside and projection really gets me excited. Issues are length. He's a smaller but more athletic style player. And then I think consistent hand placement's an issue. And then, of course, his inexperience, but it was pretty solid. Um, Wyatt Milam was a AP second team All American, and he played left tackle this last year. He was one of the highest graded in his run and pass. I mean, he was very, very highly touted as a player. I actually wrote guard when I did the original breakdown of this guy because I did him with the tackles, and that was one of my first positions. And then when he went to the Senior Bowl, he was a guard because it just makes sense. It feels like he has shorter arms, things like that. He's a nasty player. He's willing to finish blocks, and he's good at picking up stunts. He's a little older, if you at 23.6 too, so that kind of helps. He's a 3-year starter for them. I mean, he's been there for a long time. There are some serious issues I have with him, and I texted both Cam and Dustin a long, long time ago. Like, we're talking about, and I sent them pictures of me watching film, and I'm like, we're talking about this guy as possibly being, a top first rounder, first round and a half guy, and I'm like, there's no freaking way. What are we looking at, guys? Like, there's no way. And of course, now he's not anywhere close to that, which is makes me feel at least better. But he bends from the hips and leans, and it's just some things I just can't get past. Like he is literally like he looks like if you had a 90-degree angle, that's what he looks like with his body from his hips. Like he's just straight out when he's blocking. He lacks flexibility. He lacks the bend. He overextends. His hand placement is all over the place. And he's not really that great at getting up to the second level. Like he's not an athlete either. His foot quickness is bad, and then the age this could be his ceiling. This could be his best year because of his age. Like he might have already hit that ceiling. So I'm not as high as where Milam was, and I'm glad people are coming back to earth on him overall because he also was a terrible combine, had a terrible combine
Right.
overall.
Yeah, and a lot of people still have him because of his experience at tackle as a tackle, but we've kicked him inside for obvious reasons. And even if you want to compare him and his combine numbers to the tackle position, he was the slowest split, slowest 40, one of the lowest verts. He just didn't do a whole lot well for himself. And like you said, he I'm actually shocked on how high he was graded both as a pass blocker and a run blocker. Obviously, we have grades of both above 90 in both. Didn't allow a sack or quarterback hit this year,
Hmm.
but yet with all that being said, there's just a lot that he's left out there. The age is con- somewhat concerning as well because he's one of the oldest in terms of all of these guys we'll be talking about. Um, yeah, it's a whole bag of just red flags to me, and I think it's telling that uh, he was like you said, a fringe first round pick in early mocks, and Daniel Jeremiah, who we talked to comparing contrast a lot, has not had him in his top 50 in either of his 1.0 or 2.0 big board. So he's kind of on board with us in the sense of just he's not close to what people thought he might be, and he just might not ever reach like any kind of ceiling that you would enjoy out of somebody that was you know as good as he was in his years in West Virginia.
There are some players that are better in college than they are in the pros, and there's some players better in the pros than they are in college.
Mhm.
And I just don't see a way that Wyatt is going to be better in the pros. The thing too is, like he probably won't be top 100 on our board.
Mm.
Like that's just the reality of it. And I, I mean, I was like, I couldn't believe the fact that like some people even had him top 25 at the beginning of the year. I was like, you didn't watch the film, you just heard name recognition and put them on there because you had a deadline or something because he is not top 25. There's no way he's top 25. So
Right,
of
and then
course, beating him up though. I'm beating him up way too much probably.
probably, but I mean, at the end of the day, we can't love every single player that everybody wants you
Hmm.
to love, and we just have to kind of call a spade when we see something we don't like. And then quick blurb on Jared Wilson. He's been a fast riser, like you said. A lot of good things done at the combine. He had the fastest 40 by a wide margin, 4.84. I don't know if you said that earlier, but it was impressive. Tied for the fastest split, one of the longest broad jumps, verts, all that fun stuff. And then on top of that, being just very, very lights out productive as a starting center for the Georgia Bulldogs. He had the second lowest quarterback pressure rate of all the guys we'll be talking about on this list. Number one, forgot to mention this when we were talking about Jackson Slater.
Hmm.
It's Jackson Slater.
Yeah.
So just wanted to give that little shout out one more time. We're just gonna talk him more and more into our big board and guys that we love as we go out through the rest of this off season. So, but yeah, let's jump right into the next slide with Jonah Savanaia. I hope I said that correctly, but tackle out of Arizona. Um, Kind of another guy that we're kicking inside. Honorable mention Big 12. I'll let you jump into it and tell us what you like and don't like about him.
Well, he's a junior, which is good. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means he's 20 or he's 21, but he's young.
Something.
He's something young, which is good. It's good to see. He played. One thing about him is he's played both left tackle and right tackle. Started at right guard. In 2022, he had 790 snaps at right guard. Started there, and then right tackle this last year, not six, or sorry, in 2023, 693 snaps, and then this 2024, he played both sides, left and right tackle, because of injury. So he's got that position versatility. I think the most telling thing when he actually went to the combine and got measured in at 6'4" and not necessarily the longest arms in the world. I think it just kind of was like, okay, yeah, you're gonna play guard. He played guard at the Senior Bowl along with Wyatt Milam did too, of course. So both of those guys played inside. I just think he's a guard, but 3.1% quarterback pressure rate. I think that comes down because he goes to guard. The 4 sacks that he had this year, I think that also comes down because he goes to guard. He also had that same 10-yard split that Jared Wilson had at 1.72. So both of these guys, Jared Wilson and of course Jonah, very quick, athletic guys. Happy to see that. And then just dropping it down to pass blocking. He's got some of the best upside as an interior offensive lineman at the pass blocking in pass blocking. Got a good anchor. His good length for guard overall, and then hand placement was pretty impressive overall. He has actually got some good savviness for being such a young player because he has so many starts. He's played so much that I think he has good savviness. Some of his issues, though, he has some bad pad level at times. He probably lacks a little bit of overall athleticism, but it really shows up in the agility and footwork speed. But I think that those are his biggest issues overall. It's just I don't know that he has the insane like ceiling maybe, but he has a really solid floor.
Yeah, and like you said, it feels very safe, especially when he's being kicked inside, how he's projected to. At least he's an athletic guy. Um, run game, kind of an average blocker, one
Hmm.
of the worst in terms of the guys we'll be talking about on this video. But there's room for improvement there. He is young, like you said, and Arizona had a really strong year in 2023, and then obviously regressed a little bit in 24, and I think the name recognition kind of fell apart a little bit because of how they struggled as a
Fair.
Big 12 team. But yeah, a ton of snaps, over 2,400 snaps is what he's logged um, in college, which is really impressive. And yeah, I'm there's a lot for that. It just has a vibe of just there's only there's more to come. This isn't a finished product by any means. Where we said Wyatt Millum, potentially this is what you see is what you get. Whereas Jonah, this could be something that's just like the precipice of what he can actually become in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always, it's also easier to project players from moving outside if they have played at all inside, which he has. And I think that, that makes it a little bit easier for us, especially when he played a whole season inside. It's not like he just played a little bit.
Mhm.
Next guy, there we go. Marcus Bowe out of Purdue. He played right tackle and right guard for Purdue for the Boilermakers. He had some of the worst pass blocking numbers out of everybody on this list, and that has a lot to do with the fact that he's probably just going to have to move inside. I mean, he is a really fun player to watch. Like I think he's one of the most fun players I watched on film, but I also saw a lot of the issues that can be fixed if you move him inside and give him a bookend tackle outside of him. I think he could play center, honestly. I think he's probably best at center. And it's really hard to move guys from tackle to center. A lot of the times, like their first year, they're not as good. Grant Barton's a perfect example. He wasn't necessarily as good as he could have been, but I think in year two, he's going to be a ton better because that's just such a big jump. But with Bo, he played guard for a whole year, for a season. He's been a 3 year starter. He had two starts, 2 years at right tackle, 1,104 snaps, and then right guard, 647 snaps in 1 year. So it's not like he hasn't played it. So hopefully he can move all the way in and maybe even to center. Things about him. He is one of the funniest players I've ever watched. I mean, he does the snatch technique so often. He does like a jab step fake when he like is pass blocking. It's hilarious, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think he's much more of a I'm going to try, and if it doesn't go my way, I'll adjust it on the next time or something like that. I think he has really good athleticism. He's actually pretty quick to the second level. He's got really good feet. I think the reason he has that stuff though is because he's only 303 pounds. I think he needs to put on probably 15 pounds and he'll probably get a little bit slower, but it'll help him with power rushers and random and things like that. He's got good twitch. Effort is one of the higher points on him, and then he has really good individual handwork. He's a very savvy, veteran-esque type of player, like with his hands, with his pass blocking ability and stuff like that. He gave up 25 pressures, but that's just because he's probably out of position, and when he moves inside, I think he'll be really solid. So some of the cons, size is an issue. And then just overall inconsistency at times was one of the biggest things. But it wasn't like Purdue was helping him at all. They were
Right.
really awful. So
Yeah, they're bad and just have to constantly be trailing, playing from behind, and that just opens the door for more, you know, pass reps against you
hmm
to work. But at the end of the day, he did have the highest pressure rate at 5.7% among all these guys that we're talking about interior lineman wise, and then he is the lightest. At
hmm
303 pounds, if you are talking about the tackles, because that's uh, the position for the most part that he did play, even though he does have flexibility because he did kick inside. Um, yeah, he's just one of the raw guys that you see stuff there, but there's work to do for sure. He's a work in progress for sure. It's more of like a middle round depth piece that could turn into something, but it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. As we go forward into the draft, because there are some people that are Marcus Bow guys
Yeah,
in terms of all the scouts.
Daniel Jeremiah. Daniel
Yep.
Jeremiah has him at 50, I believe. So I mean, I think that's the type of upside he should have. I think early third is probably where I put him if I had to just like kind of give a immediate thought. But I think he's a really solid player and has some upside that is fun. Next
Right.
guy, Tate Rutledge. He is
Hmm.
one of the oldest guy. I think he's the oldest interior offensive lineman we have in this class. 24.3 years old. He is a massive interior offensive lineman at 6'6" and a half. That is a very, very tall man. He looks more like a tackle than he does an interior guy, but he also had the 1.72 split in the 10 yard. He had one of the highest relative athletic scores of anybody at the combine, and he had a really good year overall, being a third team All American. GTD preseason dark horse. I thought that the age was a problem, but that was my only concern with him. And then he did really well this year and also showed out at the combine, so that made me feel better about him overall. Play strength, he's very violent. He's a violent player. He's right next to Jared Wilson. They do some double teams that are insane, honestly. He's got really good anchor in the pass pro. Constant foot movement, quickness, and athleticism is a plus, absolute plus. Very quick, athletic guy, pulling and climbing both. So pad levels are he has good pad level for his size. I thought that was interesting. Good to see, honestly. And then I think he has high IQ. I think that, playing in that Georgia offense, I think with all those really talented players, I think that really helps, bring up your IQ as a player and stunts and blitzes and stuff. I think he has really good IQ for the game. And I just feel like I just feel like he is a long-time pro. That is the type of player I see in Tate. I don't know if he hits his ceiling, but I think he's always going to be in the like I think he will be in the NFL for a minimum of 3 contracts. And that gets me excited with the player when you're like, "Hey, I need a guy that can constantly be a starter and do really well. I think that's the type of guy you have here. So yeah.
Yeah, and he kind of went to Georgia in 2021 when they had one of the most dominant offensive line classes, in addition to defensive historical defense during their national championship years. But limited playing time as a freshman, but then comes right in, earns the starting job as a sophomore, and just doesn't look back. First team All SEC in back-to-back years in 23 and 24, and he was actually a first team All American. What was it for the AFCA, which
Okay.
obviously isn't the big one, but that despite missing 4 games with injury, and you're still a first team All American, that just shows the the love that people have for him as a player. Like you said, he's just nasty, and he just plays well. He's athletic on top of
Hmm.
being huge for his position. So there's a lot of things to like about him, and like you said, I feel like he's a very safe middle round player with whoever wants to take a shot on him at guard.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to put Bo above him if you're just talking about just natural rankings, but
Right.
I actually think, that has a lot to do with the age and the injury concerns in past, but without that stuff, he's one of the best pure football players in the draft. And that's why he's at 4. And I couldn't put him any higher because the next 3 guys are in another tier and they're legit, but
Right.
I really like Tate Rutledge, basically.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Get my
Just
turn.
jump into them then.
All right, here we go. Donovan Jackson. Donovan Jackson had played next to Josh Simmons, and then Josh Simmons got hurt in the Oregon game. Donovan Jackson gets kicked out to left tackle. He might have had some of the most important snaps in the whole college football playoff. Him moving to outside to left tackle and playing as well as he did at left tackle during the college football playoff really solidified me overall as his. I'm a big fan. I love that he's willing to do that, first off. And then, of course, just talking about, athleticism wise, going from guard to tackle is a very big overall jump of like who you're going to be blocking and stuff like that. He, of course, was one of the lower, if you just look at like overall pressures and pass pressure per snap. He had 2 sacks, but he also was out of position for the whole year, basically. He's second team All American at guard, not at tackle. But just so that everybody knows, that's what that accolade is for. He was a former 5 star. He played 520 snaps at left tackle, has 2 sacks on the year. Athleticism is very solid for his. He's one of the best athletes in this class for the guard position. He's scheme versatile, outside zone and possibly gap scheme. Quick first step, extremely quick first step. He climbs, he reaches, he does it all. I think in inside zone, he's uncovered. He destroys second level defenders. And then if he is covered, he's actually really solid at displacing players and moving them off the line of scrimmage. I only gave up sacks, and this is why I remember saying this. I forgot to write this earlier, but only gave up sacks to Abdul Carter. 2 sacks, both of them to Abdul Carter.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's the number 1 player in the draft class on our board. So what are you gonna? Yeah, he at left tackle. It wasn't at guard either. Like it wasn't like
Uh-huh.
they were in some subset. No, like it was at left tackle. So yeah, I can't be mad at him for that first off. Good bend, quick stunt recognition, finishes the season as possibly most valuable player for Ohio State, if you ask me. And then
Yeah.
I was gonna say one con.
Tell me
Just
about it.
he misses sometimes because he lunges. That's all. That's it. We're done. Go ahead.
No, fair, fair. Yeah, that's a great assessment from one of our favorite interior linemen, 3-time first team All Big Ten. That's just incredible to me. Being not only being a 3-year starter at somewhere like Ohio State, where he was a 5-star recruit and is like he lived up to it in a big way, but being able to be the best essentially, and on top of that, like you said, when Josh Simmons went down, he slid out and didn't miss a beat, and that was one of the huge aspects of them going on their national championship run of man losing their most one of their most talented offensive linemen, and he's just like, no, we're good.
Hmm.
We're gonna be all right behind me, and like you said, you go against the best player and you give up a couple is what it is. Like I'll forgive you for that.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, like a lot of people have him as an early second rounder, and he's probably going to be one of the early names called on day two. A whole lot of fun watching him play, and I'm looking forward to see who claims him early in the second round.
Absolutely. The next guy, this is a shock, and I love shocks. So, most shocking player on this list is to not put Tyler Booker at the number one spot for this position. Everybody else has it. I was early lower on him, and I told you because everybody had him, and we're going to talk about some gall real quick because when you have him in the top 15 of your picks, okay, if you have anybody in the top 15, that means that your film belief on them is a first round most likely. You believe that they are a first round grade, and you shouldn't drop them because of a bad combine or something like that, even if it was atrocious, which it was. But you shouldn't drop them 10 to 15 spots, right? I had him. Where did we have him in the first ranking? I don't remember off the top of my head. Let me go check because I don't want to get that wrong. I think it was like 23, but
Yeah, he was 27 actually, or at
27.
least unless you've updated the
Oh yeah,
spreadsheet
yes.
since.
It was 25. It was 25.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. So
Well,
he was 20.
disregard my 27. That
Yeah,
never happened.
yeah. He was 25 in our first on our first big board.
Okay.
And he was 13 on some big boards. I saw him in the top 15 basically on a lot of big boards, mostly everybody. A lot of people dropped him out of their top 15, top 20 even, and now they're a lot closer to where we were originally. And that's because he had one of the worst combines possibly by anybody in the last, I don't know, 10 years. It felt that bad, especially for someone that was considered such a high pick. There's a lot of reasons though I already had problems with him. And I didn't understand why people were as high as they were on him. And now I see it, right? So my first thing I want to say, he reminds me of JC Jackson. Um JC Jackson? That's wrong, right? Is that right? No, is that the
J-
right name? Hold on, am I
no,
tripping?
JC's the corner.
No, okay. What was JC Latham? Thank you.
JC Latham.
Goodness
Okay,
gracious.
okay.
He reminds me of his old teammate. Jesus, Luis. They play a lot alike. Forward lean, athletic build, pass blocking issues. Less impactful since he's a guard though, because JC plays tackle. But he has some pros. Sure, he's dense. He's got body proportionality. He loads like a frog. Explodes in that way, which is good. He looks smaller than he is because he's a massive person. And I thought he looks more like a tackle than a guard. Very long arms, things like that. But I don't think he's very good in pass pro. And I think he misses. And I think now, after seeing the combine, I was like, that's why he misses so much in run blocking. It's because he's not athletic enough to get to the right spot at the right time. 1.96 10-yard split. We talked about three guys that had 1.72s. Three.
Hmm.
And this is a 196. Like, these are the issues that were on film. It wasn't like I hope I wasn't the only one seeing these, right? Overall play strength, not so good. I mean, is really good. Sorry. Really good overall play strength. He's got heavy hands. He's a big guy. He's a strong guy. He lacks athleticism. He's that strong guy that kind of burly moves. He's a good leader. That's what everybody says. One thing that everybody says is Tyler Booker's a good leader. Okay. I will take that because I don't get to see him in the locker room and stuff like that, but I will at least relay it to everybody here. But I think there's some issues with his bend. He is, he leans too much. His overall foot speed, lateral quickness, bad. And he struggles against twists and stunts because people that move laterally, he cannot keep up with. And then combine.
Yep.
So,
But at the end of the day, like you said, that combine performance isn't really going to drop him much in our rankings because of the fact that like you said, when you did film on him, you saw that. So it's not like you expected him to run a 5 flat 40 or sub 540. But it still is apparent when you're running as slow as you were. I mean, by far the slowest of any interior offensive lineman. He is the youngest for what it's worth as
yes.
well. So you got to pair that and take that into account. But he's a massive guy that just little raw and again, we like him a lot. We give him, I guess, the ranking of a first round player. But at the end of the day, there's a guy that we think rose and jumped out a little more at us that we wanted to shine light on, and we'll get to him in a moment. But yeah, Tyler Booker, not necessarily a risk, but it's just something that a lot of people were a little high on, and they're kind of coming, coming back down to earth a little bit on him.
I think he had pretty clean film overall, but I think if you're just gonna talk about upside versus downside, I think he's a floor player. I don't think he's got the upside to be a ceiling player. I don't think he has the upside to be a first round graded player in this class. But other people thought that and then changed their mind after he was pretty atrocious at the combine. One thing I want to say is the top three guys are all in the same tier. So Donovan Jackson, Tyler Booker, and our next guy are all in the same tier. So that kind of gives you an idea of like where we're at between like that early second round and late first round picks, basically. The next guy
Let's do it.
I love this guy. I mean, I can't get enough, honestly. Gray Zabel is freaking awesome. He killed the Senior Bowl, best player at the Senior Bowl, rose his stock the most. He's a FCS first team All American. He's got a 93.1 pass grade, which is crazy. In 2024, he played left tackle, 961 snaps, but in 22 and 23, he played left guard and right tackle. So he's alignment versatile, but I'd expect him to play guard, possibly even center. He is 6'6", so we'll see if they actually want to move him all the way down in there. The first game of the year, of course, Colorado is going to, decide that they want to play against North Dakota State, and Gray Zabel's on the field. I get an opportunity to watch Gray Zabel play against an FBS team, which is awesome because when you get these FCS guys, you don't know how different the actual ability of other players are compared to them because they're just most dominant players in their position. Well, against Colorado, on the first play of the game, he pancakes somebody. On the first play of the game, I mean, it's quick. The North Dakota State runs the ball about 70% of the time. Like he's a really good run blocker, and he is a mean mofo, nasty, nasty player. One of my favorite things about him is because of how nasty he is. He has a wide base when he makes contact. He's all power, 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 power. He is a mover, downhill mover. He's a double team nightmare. People will not want to be against him in that. Um, and he's just really under control. He's got good balance, and that's always something good to see. Does a good job just making square contact. Good at stump pickup and finding most dangerous. Like I think that's something he does really well. Very intelligent in that way. And I think his technique is really like refined. I think that these FCS guys, we talked about Jackson Slater earlier, now we're talking about Gray Zabel, they have really good technique. They are being coached really well. Of course, they're the best players on their team and they have to like be leaders, but like I was really impressed by both of their techniques. Cons, probably speed rushers. I mean, yeah, speed rushers on the edge give him issues. And then also he can drop his head at times. But moving inside, he's going to have less issues, obviously, with speed rushers. And then all he has to work on is, bending less at his, neck and bending more at his knees. So I think that Gray Zabel is awesome. And I think that the combine, he didn't run the 40, but his 36.5-inch vertical was telling enough of how athletic he is. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah, very fun. It's always nice when you have a perfect blend of a great technician or have great technique, but also just be nasty
Yeah.
when it comes down to it, and that's exactly what he is. Something fun, if you want to just talk about ceiling, NFL Draft Network, somebody that just does a good job doing rankings and stuff like that, says that there's shades of Zach Martin in his game. And that is a very, very massive thing for a recently retired and future first ballot Hall of Famer. Had it all pros every single year, essentially, when he was healthy with Dallas. And coming from a guy who was an FCS guy, that is a huge, huge compliment. So yeah, he rose on everybody's board, like you said, after winning the Senior Bowl, and it's only kind of gone up from there. He's basically aced everything that's been thrown his way this offseason, and it's really rose him into being basically almost a first round lock by a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, I mean, he's even moving up. Like we're redoing our big board and nothing's set in stone, but trying to like, mess with it and finagle it basically to get it in the right places. And he's still moving up. Like that's the thing. And I like him enough to continue moving him up. Like he did give up a sack this year, but He's going to be moving inside, 7 total pressures. Like that's fine. His everything he does is good. So I can't give him. I don't feel like I personally can give him a first round grade, just in the way that like I need to see him play consistently against legit talent. Because the problem is he came from North Dakota State, where they are the best team in the nation every year, basically. And he doesn't face the same talent in the SEC that some of these other guys are facing. He hasn't faced the same talent, even in the Big Ten. Like, there's just less talent at that level. So I want to see him play higher level before I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, when he went to the Senior Bowl, he killed it. So he's the number one interior offensive lineman. That's a really big thing, and that's true interior offensive line. We're gonna get into some stuff here in a second that everybody can, when they watch the offensive tackle video, we'll get into talking about. But Gray Zabel is an awesome football player.
Hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, I'd say let's jump on over, kind of refresh a little bit. If you watch our tackle video, you'll see further breakdowns of how we, dove further into their game and their accolades and everything that they were able to do at college. But Will Campbell from LSU and Kelvin Banks out of Texas, basically multi-year starters, all SEC kind of players, all American type of players that we think might be served best being inside, and that's why they are kind of deserving of having a slide as well in this video as well.
Yeah, so the offensive tackle video will come out on Saturday, so you'll be able to watch where these guys are actually placed on that video then. But looking at it right now, like these two guys, I think Will Campbell is probably a perennial all pro. And we just talked about Zach Martin, but I think like you want to talk about just upside and like ceiling for a guy that could move inside and go from tackle to guard. Will Campbell could become that type of player, in my personal opinion. And I also think Kelvin Banks is really good. Like it's both of these guys have legitimate ability if they move to guard or even center for Will Campbell. So I think that that's something that we don't get all the time, and I personally find that these two guys are better ceiling wise and possibly just overall helping your team wise playing interior. So I project them at guard over tackle, basically. So yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, and like him said, our tackle video is being released on Saturday. We've done every single position recording wise after this one. So if you want to check out quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, everything is out already, and then just wait for the tackle on Saturday, and we'll get it right to you so we can break down all of our rankings for our you know each positions for GTD.
for sure. Um, and then there's one more screen we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the ranking between the years. And Will Campbell and Calvin Banks are going to be on here. They're 1 and 2. It is what it is. They are most definitely better than anybody on this list to me, as just even tier wise. Like they're a tier ahead of everybody on this list. They are the only two on here that actually get a first round grade out of everybody. So they are 1 and 2. It is what it is. Jackson Powers Johnson is 3. He was Jackson Powers Johnson, Troy Fatanu, and Graham Barton are 3 through 5. They're all from 2024. Gray Zabel could find his way ahead of either of some of these guys as he moves up, but right now he's not there. I just have to keep watching film and doing things. That is what it is. But yeah, and then basically 2025 takes over and gets about 6 guys in a row before the next guy because truly the bulk of the interior class last year were the first 3.
Yeah, and I was actually interested because I just view them very similarly with how they've risen and stuff like that. But Graham Barton versus Gray, where you were going to rank each one. Obviously, Graham Barton was somebody that really rose and into first round consideration. Was one of our favorite picks when Tampa Bay elected to take him last year. He did struggle with penalties this year, but we still really like him
Yeah,
as a offensive lineman going forward, and that was a great selection by Tampa Bay. But yeah, Gray, like you said, we just really like him. Um, yeah, he's gonna be awesome in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a deep amount of interior linemen over the last 2 years that we've been able to put out. Um, Cooper Beebe was a season long starter for Dallas this year.
Hmm.
Just as an example, Zach Zinter was a guy that obviously he went down with an injury with Michigan during their national championship run, but he was the leader and vocal guy and everything like that. So don't know the top of my head how much he played, if he played at all this past season, but yeah, ton of names here. That's really really fun, and then on top of that, Jackson Powers Johnson, one of the stats that just embedded in my brain last year, just a 0.02% pressure rate in his last year in college. It was just the thing that just jumped out. And you are able to reap those benefits as a fellow Raider fan going forward for him.
Absolutely. The last two videos I've been able to do the same thing with JPJ and Brock Bowers.
No,
So been
great.
pretty lucky, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think if I mean you don't have any other things to say on here. I think it's interesting. Jared Wilson versus Cedric Van Pran. Cedric Van Pran was a 3 year starter, and then Jared Wilson took over in 1 year, and I have him higher. So I thought that was interesting.
Right.
But there's truly a big tier break right there where Cooper Beebe's at, in my personal opinion. So
Right. Yeah, but that is our interior offensive lineman rankings. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said before at the start of the video, if you have any kind of comments, questions, concerns, just want to chime in, all that fun stuff, please be a part of the community. Please comment. Let us know what you think. I know there's some differences in rankings on this video as opposed to others. So yeah, let us know where we're wrong if we are wrong, and tell us, give us some praise. I mean, everybody enjoys a little bit of praise, but the main thing is we want interaction. We want the back and forth with you guys. We're on the road to 250 subs. So if you haven't subbed already, please join this community. Having a whole lot of fun covering the draft. March Madness is bumping right along with Dusty. That's why he's not a part of these recent breakdown videos. But yeah, a whole lot of stuff going forward. And the draft is basically 5 weeks away, less than 40 days. So it's a whole lot of fun, and we're getting into the nitty gritty.
yep. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Like Cam said, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me where I was wrong. You know, if you think I was wrong, that would be cool if you didn't. Just saying. But and go on there and hang out with us. Tell us if we're doing a good job or not, like he said. So we appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and we'll see you on the next one.